In 2010, Gary and I had taken an Oceania cruise to Denmark, Norway, Svalbard, and on north to the Arctic ice barrier. This Oceania cruise in 2011 would take us to 12 South American ports and include a visit to the Antarctic. We embarked at Rio de Janeiro. The next day we sailed to Santos, Brazil. From there we took a 2-hour bus ride to Sao Paulo, one of the 12 largest cities in the world. The bus ride was spectacular. Once we arrived in Sao Paulo, we visited a museum, we had lunch, we saw the famous architecture and the crowded streets. Soon, it was time to return to Santos and sail on to Buenos Aires. Our day in Buenos Aires included a bus tour of the city and a boat tour of the Delta. It rained the entire day. One of our stops was at the Recoleta Cemetery, the resting place of Argentina's wealthiest and most powerful families. There are over 6,000 grandiose mausoleums. Eva Perón is buried here.
Like to see in here.
Oh, a couple of pretty coffins, huh? Next, we visited the Tigre Delta, a popular weekend getaway site for locals. It is one of the largest deltas in the world.
There are 5,000 people living here. During the beginning of the 1900s, there were like about 20,000 people. And I think it's very nice to live here, but it's not easy. It's a little bit hard because when the island's flat or the delta flats, it's not easy. You can't leave your house.
We enjoyed a very nice lunch at the Gato Blanco, or White Cat, restaurant. After lunch, we continued our exploration of the Delta. Punta del Este is a famous resort town with casinos, beautiful beaches, and a yacht club famous throughout the sailing world. I had forgotten my yacht club card, and only later we discovered that Gary had his. In the meantime, we took a walk all the way out to the point and saw the fabulous statue at the end. Soon it was time to leave Punta del Este, and as we sailed away, we had a chance to relive our walk and view for one last time the Little Mermaid statue.
Tenders, we are not going to be able to make the tours. Once again, all tours at this point are canceled. However, we do have to go through the bunkering process. That means Insignia will be taking on fuel for the next couple of hours. Should the winds die down and it become possible for us to make it to shore with the tenders, then we will reassess the situation at that time and hopefully be able to at least go on and see Port Stanley. Once again, at this time, all tours are canceled for the day.
The severe weather condition as forecast in the Drake Passage, we are forced to revise our Antarctic cruising schedule. The new schedule is as follows. Tuesday, January 25th, we will complete the crossing of the Drake Passage. We are crossing at a lower speed in order to maximize your comfort, but most of all, your safety. On Wednesday 26, we will arrive at Half Moon Island at approximately 8 o'clock in the morning and we depart at around 10 a.m. On the same day, Wednesday 26, we will arrive at Deception Island at approximately 2 p.m. On Thursday 27, we will cruise in Paradise Harbor. I thank you for your understanding and I hope you have an enjoyable day at sea.
We had a busy day in Ushuaia, beginning with a catamaran cruise to see Seal Island, Bird Island, and an historic lighthouse. Later, we would take an historic train ride and see the early prison. After our cruise on the Beagle Channel, we headed for the train to the end of the world. In 1883, a prison was founded in Tierra del Fuego, Ushuaia. In order to get firewood and building materials, a train was built to go into the mountains carrying the convicts. Summer and winter, they logged the area.
The engine ran on water current to keep it safe. If you observe to the right, you will begin to see the first tocones, or stumps, from the trees felled by the prisoners. The taller ones were felled during the winter months at the snow line. The shorter ones during the warmer days of the year.
Yeah, but I have no idea where.
Convicts themselves built the prison, beginning in 1902 and finishing in 1920. The convicts went on to build up the rest of the city and to populate the area. In the early days, the prison was used as an auditorium and general meeting location. It was also the first hospital in the area.
Well, what a day in Ushuaia. Much more summery than they normally get. I've never seen such a bright one.
Who went from Adelaide to Darwin.
It's a nice shot. Clouds and tower.
It was a cold and blustery day as we explored this open-air museum that consists of antique trains, machinery, buildings, and relics of the European settlers in this remote part of the world.
No tall building, and you can see if you were waiting for someone or some groceries that arrive to the city, you can see all the boats. So you can see from that window, and in that way you can go to the. That was the purpose of that small window at the top. We have many buildings with that small windows at the top that we name Lucarna.
¿Cuál es mi pecado? Va a maltratarme. Daña la piedra. Y el cloro también daña la piedra. A la plata no le pasa nada.
Once again, I was intrigued by the number of dogs that you can find on the streets in most Chilean cities.
No para trabajar. Solo
From Puerto Chibuco, we took a long drive through the Rio Simpson National Reserve. We stopped at the Regional Museum of Patagonia and then drove on to Coyhaique, where we stopped at their main square and handicraft market.
National Reserve, Lago Roselot, here are the names. And we have 5 national parks. In Spanish is Laguna Fantasma. Vamos, te estoy diciendo. Después venimos al agua. Remember the pioneers? They came from Chiloé Island. Yeah, this is a typical Chilota family. Yeah, from Chiloé. Yeah, potato. She has some potatoes. He's working in some furniture. Yeah, with a typical wool hut. And this square is dedicated to the pioneers.
Pioneer Square.
In Puerto Montt, everyone visits Petroe Falls. Our cruise ended in Valparaiso. We spent an additional week in Santiago. We took a tour on the hop-on, hop-off bus, enjoying the sights of Santiago.
To the front we can see the Maputo station, built between 1904 and 1910, with the purpose of grandly celebrating the centennial independence of Chile. In 1987 the Maputo station was closed down, and no longer a railroad station. From then onwards it was in disuse and neglected until 1991, when it was decided to tender a national competition of architecture and convert the area into a great cultural center, preserving its heritage as a national monument.
We took a walking tour of the city, and we heard quite a bit about the takeover of the government by Pinochet in 1973.
Can you see there a hole on his face? Can you see a hole of it?
Yeah.
There is damage, hit in the head there. Is a result of what? Is a result of a bullet. There was a bullet that hit it here, or hit it there, in those days, you know, in that morning, September 11th, 1973. This was the shootout point by then, by the way, that morning. The shootout point here, the military forces against the paramilitary forces.
We rode the funicular up to San Cristobal Hill. From there, there is a fabulous view of the city of Santiago. There is also a small church and a magnificent sculpture at the top of the hill. The outdoor sculpture park in Santiago, next to the river, has 30 sculptures from Chilean and international artists. Cementerio General. This was a beautiful cemetery and also very moving. This is the tomb of Orlita Romero Gomez, or La Novia. People believe that leaving small messages and tokens of love will help them with their love life. This multi-story building holds the remains of Italian immigrants and has over 3,000 burials.
Personas aquí, todos italianos.
Santiago's General Cemetery is often included on lists of the world's most beautiful cemeteries. One of the last things that we did was take a bus tour from Santiago into the Andes. We went to see the Valle Nevado and had an opportunity to experience condors flying overhead.